Pearson Rabbit's story begins with Dr. Stephanie Pearson, a passionate OBGYN at the height of her career. When a shoulder injury struck during a precipitous delivery, her dreams were shattered, leaving her unable to practice medicine. Determined to make a difference, Stephanie became an advocate for her peers, guiding them through the complex disability process. Alongside insurance expert Scott Ravitz, Stephanie founded Pearson Ravitz, a company determined to approach insurance differently. Together, they set their mission to educate and empower physicians to protect their most valuable asset, their income, and the most important people in their life, their family. Today, Pearson Ravitz serves the medical community in all 50 states. At Pearson Ravitz, they understand the unique concerns of physicians. Physician-founded and physician-focused, Pearson Ravitz builds human connections before they create quotes. Life can change in an instant. It's hard to imagine that a sudden illness or injury could leave you and your family in a devastating financial situation. But with a little planning and guidance, you can prepare for every possibility. Visit PearsonRavitz.com today to schedule your consultation with a Pearson Ravitz advisor.
Finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of BS Free MD, Doctales with Cocktails, episode Wednesday night. We're still here Wednesday night, brought to you by your fabulous hosts, the hardworking Dr. Tim Hindmarsh, fresh in from work.
12-hour shift.
Fresh off the urgent care boat.
A 12-hour tour.
In his fine scrub attire, which we're going to be promoting in a little bit. And me, the housewife who cleaned up the studio. And behind you, it looks a little bit cleaner.
Studio.
So,
this camera is driving me alone.
So while we get some technical difficulties out of the way and Tim adjusts everything so that he can look great on camera.
Because everyone wants to watch me adjust things.
We are happy to have you all with us. And I think tonight we'll try to keep it short and sweet as we talk about some interesting news topics. Tim's got a story for us, as well as an update on something that happened actually in Florida. It came out last week. It was a ruling that was like none other, which Johns Hopkins lost a lawsuit. And there's a documentary out about it that we haven't watched, but we would love to. If you've all seen it, it's called Taking Care of Maya. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, that is.
What's
fascinating.
What I also have for us is some other weird medical conditions.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about the conference that we were at over the weekend because Dr. John Littell was a guest on our show. And we're going to summarize that as well as our beverage. All right. I will let you talk now.
It's interesting because the Maya story dovetails kind of with what I want to talk about. Another lawsuit with a physician who sued his employer and won, which makes me super happy.
There you go.
But it's like weird. It's just weird how, especially in the legal realm, stuff just kind of gets its own steam and no one goes, whoa, let's just slow down. And, maybe this isn't exactly as we think it is. And then it gets a life of its own and it becomes something it never was. And then thank God for the justice system, which for the most part works, where you can look at it and present evidence and go, yeah, this was horseshit.
There you go. Well, as Tim pours himself a glass and he fills mine up as well, I would say good evening to all of our friends. Good evening, Gary, that is out there watching, and the rest of you. We hope you enjoyed this week's newsletter. I know some of you did. You already wrote back. And cheers. Why don't we share what we're drinking early on in the show?
Well, I got to drink it first.
It's a delightful red. We were having a nice steak dinner, courtesy of Oregon Valley Farms there in Oregon. And we're drinking, of course, our blue chip Pinot Noir from Wyeast in Oregon. celebrating Oregon because you know what? Today it rained like a monsoon today and yesterday, and our friends had the audacity
To think that we brought
to accuse us of
the
bringing the
rain from Oregon. I said, well, maybe we did, but you can say a little prayer of thanks to the Lord Jesus because we didn't bring the communism with us.
Not yet, anyway. But
not like I'd bring communism.
So yes, it's raining men and raining cats and dogs. And
it wasn't raining that hard. It wasn't raining Florida hard. It was raining Oregon hard, and it was cloudy, but it was weird. But then you went outside and you're like, oh yeah, it's cold. It's 70.
Well, anyway. All right.
So
Let's
that was
start
good.
off by, why don't we summarize the conference this weekend?
Oh, okay. So we had Dr. John Littell on our show last week to discuss the
Florida Summit.
Florida Summit.
Uniting for Medical Freedom.
And then he talked about food, which food, family, so children,
Yep.
and freedom.
Yep.
The thing I found there's two things that really kind of surprised me. And I was talking to some people at work today about it, which really blew my mind. Number one is it was really, really cool to listen to people that were in the food production side of the world. Like so much we hear about food and toxins and ultra processed food and how crappy it is. And, everyone knows that. But then to listen to people that were actually in the farm side or in the regulatory side about actually how safe and how good in a lot of respects food production is in the United States. There's issues with it. Obviously, corporate farming, there's better ways to get food than to just, buy it from the grocery store. If you can afford to buy it from local farmers,
or through the Golden Arches,
et cetera, et cetera. But that I found really interesting. The other thing was the passion some of these folks had for what in the wide world of sports are we doing to children, and who's going to take care of us in the next 50 years. Are they going to be like insane, crazy people with bones through their nose?
Okay.
Because we have so damaged them and raised them to be snowflakes.
Yes.
Or cut their dicks off.
So I was bone chillingly inspired when we
or
were
be
there.
snowflakes who cut their genitals off.
Yeah.
Did you know?
Now you got me off my train of thought.
Did you know
again.
no two snowflakes have the same genitals? If you let them land on your tongue.
Fun fact. They probably don't. Just like a snowflake. Every print is different.
That's what I said. No two snowflakes have the same.
Everyone's unique.
Yeah,
So back to the conference inspiration and the passion behind. So for me, I thought the highlight was Dr. Mark McDonald, and yay me, I won his book. So it's coming to me, and that's what we featured on the Truth Serum this week. I have not read it, but I hope that you all do. And if you do get it done before I do.
Well, you need to have it in your possession before you can read it, strangely.
Well, I know. But anyway, he was so inspirational. He likes to go by the name Dissident MD. And he has a Substack. He's a practicing psychiatrist in California. Trying to get him to move.
Not like California
to the East Coast, but the West Coast needs him. But anyway,
practicing psychiatrist.
He was so inspirational that when we heard him talk about what's happening to the kids, the youth, from COVID on down to all the things in the transgender world, and the fact that in order to change society, we need some men with balls and to stop being pussies out there. Everybody quit being wimpy kids. I'm like, yes, go Mark. So I really said to Tim, I think we want to do next year's our theme, because this year was about hope and courage. I would like to do like hope for the kids or something along a year about the kids, because there's so much literal shit going on for kids, with all the mask stuff that happened through COVID, all the damage that's happening to their bodies from the crap we've been putting in their bodies, from the big pandemic, and even before that, as we're discovering. So I'm thinking.
Well, because I believe that children are the future.
Oh my gosh.
Train them well and let them lead the way. Let them show the beauty that they have inside.
Are you going to keep going?
Give them a sense of pride.
And what's the rest of it?
I don't
you
know.
Don't even know.
It's Whitney Houston.
Do
you know who wrote that song, though? Do you know who wrote it? It was not written by Whitney Houston.
I don't know.
I believe the
I
truth.
don't know.
Dolly Parton.
Oh,
And somebody asked Dolly Parton about that, and they said, were you disappointed that that song was more popular by Whitney Houston than it was when you first released it? And she said, no, because it paid so many royalties that it gave her enough money to build Dollywood, her amusement park.
oh my gosh.
Just from the Whitney Houston publishing rights.
Huh, interesting. Well,
I believe
Dollywood,
I
a
believe
song
the
about
children
it's
need
all
a
perfect.
roller
It's all
coaster
perfect.
in
right.
Asheville, North Carolina,
You're
or
done.
wherever the hell Dollywood is.
You're done. I'll turn that off.
Dollywood.
So the other thing about the conference I wanted to say, and I'm going to talk really fast so that you can't get a word in edgewise, which is usually what you do, is that it was awesome to hear Dr. Ryan Cole. He's amazing speaker, super funny, but very passionate about talking about COVID and the damage that's happened. We had some great info as well from, now his name just bumped out of my brain.
Oh, Paul Merrick.
Paul Merrick was amazing, as was Pierre Corey.
Pierre Corey, he mic dropped the entire place.
Yeah.
So John Littell is the sweetest
Tell the
man
story.
in the entire world, and he has such an unbelievable passion for caring for patients. And he would be brought to tears describing some of the things that happened with him caring for these people and going through what he went through in the last 3 years. And he is just such a genuine guy. And so he brings everyone up. There was 15 speakers or something like that at the end of the conference. And he says, everybody, just give us no more than a minute or 2 minutes. Just, what do you need to leave us with? So Pierre Corey and Paul Merrick were at the very end of the line, and they go through everything. And it's just remember, Sean Baker, who's amazing, was like, remember that, meat isn't bad for you. It's good. Like, I did the carnivore diet for 8 years, and look at me, and, go to the next person. And it's like, well, we really have to continue to stand up, and we can win this, and the tide's changing, blah, blah, blah. And so it goes through all of these people, and, 12 of them. So we're 10, 15 minutes into this. They get to Pierre Corey. He's standing there, and he goes, don't fucking comply. And we're like, okay, we're done. Let's go.
That's the theme of the show.
Yep.
Or the weekend. And then John, Dr. Littell, such a big heart. What an amazing man. He was awesome. Just championing the whole thing. And of course, dumb us, we met Dr. Pete Chambers.
We talked to Pete for almost 10 minutes. We didn't take a picture.
No, because we don't take pictures of anything, because Tim's scarred from childhood. Because
correct.
He had to have so many family photos.
That is 100%.
Well, we didn't even
correct.
think about it, but it was a blessing to be able to see him. And so, we saw Pete Chambers, and Sean Baker was amazing. And so,
and by the way, quite a few of these folks will be coming up.
I was just going to say
the podcast.
So we might have connected with a few, and that's all I'm going to say. Don't want to give too much away, but yes, there's more to come.
And no one, including Robert Malone, called us an idiot. So that was a complete success.
But here's a point that I didn't write about in the newsletter when I kind of summarized the highlights. I really appreciated that Jill Malone brought up a point that nobody's talking about it. And with the election coming up, is where are the candidates that are speaking up against what has happened to our health and with this pandemic and what's going on with the side effects of the medications, the long-term ramifications, the investigation into that, the prosecute, it's still so focused on what's going over on the other side of the world and wars that we don't need to be involved in. So I won't get into all the politics, but she's basically said, so when you're looking for your political candidate, even start local, ask them, where do you stand on all of this? Because no one's speaking about it. So amen.
Yeah, well, the only person that's speaking on it really at all is RFK.
Yeah.
And,
so good point.
But, Trump initially tried to talk about how he had rolled out the vaccines and how that was such a great thing. He's just like, Operation Warp Speed. We did it in we did it in no time. I mean, he was getting booed. And finally he's like, okay, I can't do that anymore, because all the people that are, the gazillion people that come to my rallies don't like that. And it's like,
well, everybody's
dude.
hung up on, the war and I don't know what else, but I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
So that was the event, super fun. And we had a great time hanging out there was everybody there from obviously healthcare workers and these high profile speakers to just amazing community members who just really want to learn a lot about what is believed in medicine and hear both sides. That's not filtered. And we sat with some great people at our table that aren't in healthcare. And it was Brian and Lisa, right? Super nice people.
Correct.
Raising their 3 young girls, asking questions, doing the best they can. So you know what? Cheers. Cheers to Brian and Lisa.
Do they have girls or boys?
They have 2 girls and a boy.
Well,
I can't remember.
Yeah, maybe don't
exactly
say their names.
Why?
I don't know.
Because I'm not saying the kids' names. I just said Brian and Lisa.
All right, good.
No, they're protected.
I don't know.
Jeez. Take a drink and relax. All right. So I would like to do a little tiny little advertising for Tim's Scrub Top because that is the actual podcast of the week this week. I will give that information now. We are doing an episode with the founder of this Cure Scrub.
Kyur. Kyur.
And it is the softest, silkiest, most functional, most comfortable, breathable. But I mean, like, why hadn't they invented scrubs like this a long time ago? Hello, doctors, you're driving Porsches and you're wearing your Rolexes, taking them off before you go to the OR, and you're sleeping in your sleep number or whatever.
And
beds.
You're wearing a burlap sack.
I know. That's a piece of cotton shit that's
come
ripped.
out of the OR and sit and talk with a family and say, we think we got all the cancer and your mother's going to be okay. And you're wearing a burlap sack.
The apparel has been
this thing is so comfortable.
Doctors have ever paid attention to. And I mean, why not? You're in your Lululemons and your Athleta and your whatever North Face gear on the weekend and every day. So
it makes me even more physically attractive than I already am, which is damn near impossible.
Yeah. So
and the story of Nick, who
he has an amazing
Nick Chinsky,
background.
who started this company, is so mind blowing.
So that's coming out actually tomorrow. I want you to listen to it just because even if you're not into scrubs, the whole fact that doctors haven't had actual good medical apparel,
that there's no
physician focused.
Yeah, there's no Lamborghini of scrubs
because
there's no functional athletic apparel to see patients in that makes
brands like Figs try.
But that makes you look good. That was actually designed to see patients in, not just be either a fashion garment or a burlap sack.
So that when someone vomits all over you and when that abscess that you're lancing splats on your shirt, it might just kind of run off a little bit better. So anyway, if you are interested in purchasing,
or when you're coated in ass gravy,
you can
wash it off.
No, I was going to say you can use a code to get 25% off with BS free 25. So check out his website. We also mentioned in the show, I believe, but 25% off is a big deal because this stuff is not on the low end, but you know what? You get 2 or 3 pair. And as he says, he has one doctor that he had an ER doc wear the same set for 5 days in a row. And you've been wearing them every day. I keep laundering them, but they're
great. I mean, it's just bulletproof. It comes out a lot. Like it doesn't,
you need 2 pair, 3 max if you're working 5 days a week and you're done.
Who works 5 days a week?
Yeah. So
anyway.
BS free 25.
Yes. Yeah, no. The episode is amazing. Like you're like, okay, I'm going to listen to a guy talk about scrubs. No, I'm going to listen to a guy that's climbed the six of the the 6 highest mountains in the world in 6 months and built or designed and made the jumpsuits for Virgin Galactic. He's like, yeah, when I was talking to Branson about what he wanted for his rocket ships, and I'm like, yeah, who the hell are we talking to?
No, I know. It's pretty cool.
It was awesome.
So I had to do a big promo for tomorrow for that.
What do you got?
Well,
do you want me to go first? No, you go first. Go. Hit Maya's
Okay.
story. Maya's story is pretty
So
crazy.
we need to watch this documentary movie show, but I was getting my hair done with a new hairstylist here last month and didn't even know about this. But there is a Netflix show out called Taking Care of Maya. Anybody heard of it? Let us know. Anybody watched it? Also let me know. So then Tim was at work last week, and this came out in June of this year, I believe, this documentary. He was at work last week, and this dropped on the news last week. This is a bombshell that the jury found Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital liable and awards damages to the family in over $200 million. So
Venice, Florida, one of the towns I work in. Fascinating. So this, what ended up happening is this child had some weird.
Okay, so from what I remember is that she was diagnosed when she was really young with this chronic complex regional pain syndrome, I think, a really bad pain disorder. And she went and saw a couple physicians, and then she was treated in the US and then actually with ketamine. She even at one point went down to Mexico and was put into this ketamine-induced coma at one point in her life, but which really helped. And so then what happened was she got sick. She was here in the US. Her mom and dad took her in to the ER. And from that point, I'm a little cloudy on all the details, but she was rushed in. And then someone thought that her mom was doing or abusing her and possibly doing the Munchausen's by proxy, which means sort of making things
faking
up,
illnesses in your child to get attention because your child is sick.
And then a doctor basically took it to the courts to take Maya away from her family and have her in the courts and medical care for her treatment. And she was in the hospital. And at that point, her mom was not allowed to see her. It was 87 days in a row.
So how did you get to Hopkins? Because that's like, this is Venice, Florida versus Baltimore.
No. It's
like one of their outreach hospitals.
I think I don't know. I'll have to read as a consultant, because she basically was in a Florida hospital. And then I can't remember how they got Hopkins involved, because they had a neuropsychologist and a consultant for the child protective team, and they met, and I think there was a collab going on. Anyway, we will dig deeper. I just wanted to give a little hint for this.
The bottom line is simple.
Basically what happened was her mom committed suicide.
Yeah, but the bottom line is really simple. So the healthcare system got up its ass about how they thought this kid was abused. And so then it was like, let's take the kid away. Let's do this. And the parents are like, no, we're normal people. Like, you can investigate us, blah, blah, blah. It stresses the mother out so bad. They're spending all this money. So she commits suicide. Yeah. And then eventually, the family sues the hospital, and it finally goes to court.
6 or 8 week trial.
And it all blows up in court. And it's like, no, you guys you had an idea and you couldn't let the idea go. And she was actually a sick kid that you took away from the two people in the world that love her the most. So enjoy paying $200 million. Well, too bad it wasn't $200 bazillion.
Well,
like, honestly, I want some of these places.
$211 million for compensatory damages for false imprisonment, battery, medical negligence, fraudulent billing.
How the hell is battery not a criminal offense? Why honest to God, some of these gigantic systems, they need to start throwing these guys in jail. That drives me absolutely crazy. It's like when Pfizer, with all the Vioxx shit or whatever it was, and the Vioxx Lyrica, whatever, when they paid these gigantic criminal penalties, billions of dollars in criminal penalties, to not go to jail. What do you mean? You could just buy your way out of jail? Yes, you can, because it's a freaking monopoly board. And if you own Park Place and Boardwalk and whatever, all the and you have hotels in all of them, you just buy your way out of jail. No, if it's battery, if you battered a patient, you should go to freaking jail. And if you were the asshole that kept pushing that you should take the child away without pausing and saying, we need to figure this out. I get it. There's lots of child abuse out there. There's lots of scummy people. And we, absolutely, we owe the highest duty of regard to children. But there's a point where this just gets so wacky. Like there's two sides to these stories, and like we should do our jobs good enough that you don't have to rely on the criminal justice system. Fraudulent billing, medical negligence, false imprisonment. How do you not go to jail for that?
I know. And
maybe there'll be a criminal trial. I don't know.
No, I know. Obviously, wrongful death and emotional distress, and sadly, so that was 211, and then they also decided they would receive an additional 50 million in punitive damages for false imprisonment and false imprisonment.
Yeah, but if you're Johns Hopkins, if you're Johns Hopkins hospital system, honestly, 50 million as punitive damages, like that's going to punish them. that's a freaking rounding error.
Yeah.
No, like $1 billion in punitive damages, maybe. Like that's what just drives me like absolutely insane. We'll watch the show. We'll kind of,
then
it's Netflix, so God knows how realistic it is, but it is what it is. But this was,
I want to watch it because now in the news 2 days ago, Maya is accusing the hospital of sex abuse. This is a new thing. So
wow, not like Johns Hopkins has ever not been involved in sex abuse, a la Dr. Money, the person that invented the term gender identity and who was a pedophile on the Reimer twins. Yeah. Not like they've ever did that before. Like
anyway, we will
keep suing until they don't exist. Yay.
So we gotta watch that. But I would love
and we'll give you a full report.
Can you imagine if we could get her on the podcast?
Well, we can always ask and she can always say no.
Yeah. Anyway, that would be fascinating to hear her side of it. Anyway.
Well, yes. On the lighter side of the news, or what I like to say, proof that we're actually living in a simulation.
What do you got?
I got a South African pastor reportedly farts on people's faces.
Okay.
As a healing process to cure all spiritual and physical problems.
This is
Pastor Christ Penelope. Now, that should have been your first clue that maybe things were going to get out of hand when you actually name yourself Christ. But, I digress.
Well, maybe.
Of sevenfold Holy Spirit ministries in some village I can't pronounce in Limpopo, because that sounds amazing, Limpopo, South Africa, has created a buzz online for his unorthodox method of healing people after a photo of him sitting on the heads of people, apparently farting on them, went viral. But the people say the farts don't stink because he's just farting the Holy Spirit. I shit you not.
Wow.
And apparently, Pastor Penelope shit you not as well. So if you shard, does that count as like anointing?
Stop. Anointing with
Would
oil.
Would that be anointing?
Fecal oil.
Okay, we could go.
Maybe that salmon you ate last night is just.
Oh boy.
Already.
It is just.
That is.
You can't, you could put me on a desert island for 100 million years and sustain me artificially with my brain in a jar, and I wouldn't come up with somehow farting the Holy Spirit on people's heads. It would just not occur to me ever.
Sounds like
it would never occur.
Sounds like
it would never
need Maya's attorneys to
never travel through my mind that maybe we could do that.
That is so gross. Okay, well, let's see what I got. I did find something wacky in the news, and of course, I'll have to scroll through my stuff here in a minute. But I do have a weird medical condition for you guys. This one, of course, Tim will probably know it, but it is called Proteus syndrome. And there's a very famous movie about someone that had Proteus syndrome.
Benjamin Button?
No, very good guess. Very good guess. I didn't find the Benjamin Button syndrome yet. I think that's next to come. Nope. It would be a condition in which your body parts grow dysmorphically or at disproportionate rates, and is a genetic condition that you don't really notice in kids. It's not inherited, but a weird genetic condition, very rare. I think there's only been like 200 documented cases, usually women more than men.
So, whoa. So
But-
parts of your body grow at different rates?
Yeah. And so what happens is,
Are you looking for alternative investments and tangible assets that help you build and protect your wealth while empowering your financial future? Look no further than Eckhart Enterprises. With over 37 years of experience in the industry, Eckhart Enterprises is your trusted partner in the world of alternative investments and asset management. They have a track record of success with more than 1,300 investors on board and over $700 million in capital invested in tangible assets.
their specialty lies in offering immediate cash flow opportunities through mineral rights investments so that you don't have to wait decades to see your investments pay off. Their unique AML approach, born from decades of experience, focuses on aggregating, maturing, and liquidating assets strategically to maximize returns. Join Eckhart Enterprises. Visit EckhartEnterprises.com, spelled ECKARD enterprises.com today to begin your journey toward building and protecting your financial future.
For more information about alternative investments and asset management, visit EckhartEnterprises.com. And remember, Eckhart Enterprises is your gateway to tangible assets and lasting financial success. Contact Eckhart today.
For more information about alternative investments and asset management, visit EckhartEnterprises.com, spelled ECKARDENTERPRISES.com. And remember, Eckhart Enterprises is your gateway to tangible assets and lasting financial success. Contact Eckhart today. We have, oh, you're looking at my, you're cheating.
Oh, so like you could have one part of your body could be way bigger than it's supposed to be?
Yeah. So anyway, this genetic disorder occurs randomly in the womb. And so you start to notice abnormalities around 6 to 18 months in infants, and they get everything from intellectual disability, obviously a huge range of health problems, poor eyesight, seizures, different non-cancerous tumors, blood clots. And the famous man with it is Joseph Carey Merrick, known as the Elephant Man from 19th century Britain. The poor man was a public display because he was so odd. And basically what happens is the tissues grow in a really random pattern and overgrow. And so,
Overgrow.
Well,
Overgrow pieces of your body, but not other pieces.
right. So like you get one ear that's growing larger than the other side of your face.
I'm sorry, I have
grows.
Proteus syndrome of my right nut.
Yeah, sure you do.
Be very hard to ride a bicycle.
Absolutely.
Could only pedal with one leg.
Well, unless your right leg grows.
Disproportionately.
There you go. So obviously you diagnose it by doing things. You can't actually do a blood test for it, believe it or not. You actually have to do a tissue biopsy of the skin, which is affected. You can do obviously x-rays to see CT scans and look at lesions, in the parts of the body, MRIs, all of that stuff. But yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I got another story which kind of goes along with Maya's, not nearly as dramatic, but again, the theme is they get these authorities get an idea in their head and they can't let it go, and then it becomes something it's not, right? Like some smart guy said that Maya was not really sick and it was the mother, and then it became something that it wasn't. A Kentucky doctor was removed from practice for touching his nose in an exam and is awarded millions by a jury. John M. Farmer was working as a resident for Baptist Health Medical Group in 2019 when he was accused of being impaired in touching his nose a lot during a routine patient exam. He denies this, and his co-workers also deny this. The accusation led to his being suspended from practice and ordered to sign an agreement to abstain from alcohol or mood-altering drugs for 5 years, among other consequences. Farmer sued his employers, citing breach of contract and interference with future potential businesses. The jury ruled in his favor, and he was awarded $3.736 million and $44. I don't know how they got the extra $44.
It's tax.
It's
tax.
So he was accused of being impaired. He was okay, but here's where it gets like it's a series of errors that compound on each other. He was improperly notified by his employers of the accusation, according to or ordered to abstain from alcohol or mood altering drugs for 5 years, blah, blah, blah. So what happened is they didn't immediately go to the guy. So the supervisor they waited a day. It was like a day. I think it was a day later. They're like, hey, what the hell happened with this case? They thought that you were drunk. Okay, look, if you're supervising somebody or you're an authority over them and you think that, especially if they're a medical practitioner and you think that they're like impaired, whether they're mentally impaired, whether they're impaired from, alcohol, drugs, grief, like anything that can impair you, your job is to immediately figure it out, right? So you immediately deal with the patient and you immediately deal with the provider. You go to them and say, look, hey, doc, what the hell's going on? Patients thought you were drunk. Oh, no, I had like 19,000 times too much hand sanitizer on, so it smelled like alcohol, and I wiped it off on my scrub shirt. I wasn't drunk. You can, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was the first mistake. They waited. The second mistake is they got the state board of medical examiners involved because regulatory boards are super, super sensitive about physician impairment, as they should be, okay? And that makes perfect sense to me. But they're also very sensitive on protecting doctors. In other words, if you get a DUI, they want to help you so that they don't take away your ability to earn money. You might have made a mistake and been legitimately a good doctor. So it kind of goes both ways. So they have these sort of rehab programs. But the problem is the guy went into this. They said, well, you got to meet with this, care team from the Board of Medical Examiners. And he signed a consent to being tested and then go into their like rehab assessment when he should have said, I wasn't freaking impaired. I don't drink on the job.
Right.
Bite me. Here's my lawyer.
Right.
That would have been the correct thing to say and never get tested. But then he consented to get into the system, and then he's in the system and they randomly test you and you can't drink anything anywhere, even on your spare time for the next 5 years.
Oh, 5 years.
Yeah. Because they just assumed he was guilty. Like it just assumed he was guilty, which is completely crazy. So eventually this all blows up, goes to court, and it sounds like, from what I can read, justice is served. But I think there's another point here. And the other point is this. We only get part of the story.
Of course.
And there's way more to this. There's way, way, way more to this story. Having hung around corporate medicine and worked in hospitals and been on hospital boards and been in medical leadership and all of these things, I can tell you some kind of conflict, for whatever reason, happened between this guy and the higher ups that never got reported because it was never a real thing. So they thought he was a weirdo because he had tics and he always cleared his throat and rubbed his nose. He had Tourette's or whatever. I don't know. He had the big dick energy of all of the residents, and they couldn't go after him. And he was speaking truth to power and sticking his finger in the eye of the administrators. Again, I'm making all this up. I don't know. But I virtually 100% guarantee you there's something like that went on. They thought he was a weirdo, or they didn't like him, or he didn't play well with others, or he played very well with others and played terribly with the administrators. This, I can tell. I mean, I have been through this so many times personally and with other people, and being on the administration side and being on that something happened, and then he got a complaint, which happens to every single medical doctor, no matter who you are. And they went, okay, here's our chance. That's what this smells like to me. And then they got it up their rear that this guy was actually impaired. And that explained why he, wiped his nose too many times, or God knows what it was. And then it becomes
that white powder off.
And then it gets a life of its own. Mm-hmm. And then there's another dark side to this, which is we treat patients like customers. We don't treat them like patients. So the mother's like, my brother was a coke fiend and he wiped his nose all the time because he was snorting that shit in between, like doing oil changes when he was working at the gas station down the road. The one that was between like 17th Street and 19th Avenue, that place that eventually burned down. Remember, because my other cousin worked on the fire when it burned. Well, that sucker, man, he could have snorted the whole fire truck worth of cocaine, and I know a coke addict. Okay, that's what the administrator hears.
Like
again,
someone else is on coke.
Again, conjecture on my part.
Wow, you did that well.
Conjecture on my part. Okay, I'm not saying this happened. Conjecture on my part, and then it just it gets a life of its own, and people have ulterior motives. And instead of doing what you should do as a hospital administrator and saying, ma'am, we hear your concerns, we will deal with this, and then never talking to them again. Well, we have to treat them like a customer because they're customers, they're not patients.
Customers, I hate that.
No, it's completely like there's so many things we don't know. Now, fun for me to freeform kind of rap on this, but I can tell you there's way more to this story. There's a happy ending. He got paid. He has a job. I looked it up. He's working in a hospital.
That's cool. And
now
he's
so he has a career.
Some Oregon Wise wine.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, if it was me, I'd probably take the board on too.
Yeah.
Because those guys have so much freaking power. It's unreal. Now, you probably wouldn't win because they'd go, well, we're just going on data. And you're a dumb shit and you consented to all the drug testing and stuff, and this is why God made lawyers. When you get in a situation like this, you just say, I'm not talking to you guys without a lawyer.
Exactly.
See ya.
Exactly. That's all I'm going to say.
Talk to the hand. And on my hand is written lawyer.
Yep.
Talk to the hand. And I tell you, maybe this is something for another business venture or people we could talk to about, protecting yourself in the employment world legally as a resident, because it's super intimidating. The hospital system that you work for has tons of power. They have tons of money, and you are wildly in debt and don't want to submarine your career, because then you'll never pay those debts off. So to say, F you to the administration and talk to my lawyer, it's like, well, where am I going to get, $350 an hour?
You're stuck.
But I'm telling you, you have to.
You gotta play the game.
I'm like, wow, 5 years. I've known guys that have had to go through the diversion stuff with the drug and alcohol thing with the Board of Medical Examiners, and it is. That's a long. It is brutality. Like they just like, you're seeing patients, and it's like, boom, show up tomorrow, you're getting a drug test. And some of them need it. I get it. You're protecting patients. You're protecting the physician.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna bitch about it, but at the same time, it's like
usually it is protecting patients more than it's screwing.
Well, no, and it's 100% protecting patients. It's also protecting doctors. Like if you have a drug and alcohol problem and you're still a great doctor and you need to practice medicine and not screw your life up, having Big Brother whack you on the back of the head and know that you can be drug tested or alcohol tested at any time, probably not a bad thing. I think, and I think for the most part, from what I've seen, these diversion kind of programs inside the Board of Medical Examiners office is unbelievably gracious, and it's very good, and probably have saved lots of people's lives and livelihoods. That's true. Yeah. But protect yourself legally.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Any special shout outs you want to give before we wrap this up?
Well, I want to give a shout out. I've been, I've written about it twice. One has been published. The next one will come out next week. To Best Pro kiteboarding out of the St. Petersburg, Florida. They run an unbelievable business. I talked to the owner. He hooked me up with a couple of his instructors. They're really good. They're really patient, and they take joy in watching me learn something, and not just take joy in me getting waterboarded, which is what happens sometimes when you don't know how to kite. It's a great sport. We live in a wonderful place to do it now. And if you are interested in learning how to kiteboard and you're anywhere near Tampa Bay, Best Pro Kiteboarding.
There you go.
Outstanding. And
for those of us in Oregon, when we're not drinking cocktails, whatever we're drinking,
then we're drinking coffee because it's just two things.
The first thing I stagger to in the morning is my beautiful Breville Oracle machine. I think you've seen it. But you know what? You know who's powering that thing now with some fine brew? It's Farewell Coffee Roasters, and we shouted out to them on our social media sites. But I'm telling you, you have to support them and get their coffee. You can go online to farewellcoffeeroasters.com. They are out of Bend, Oregon. And what's really cool is they got a kick-ass attitude. And firefighter, a cowgirl, and they believe in freedom and
hard work
and American values.
And they're from Bend, and they're not hippies or communists.
There you go.
That in itself should just say everything you need to know.
So they have some great stuff. I'm enjoying the Happy Camper. They have some called Jam Session, Giddy Up, and Neon Moon, but roasted really well. And they got some cool merch on there. I found their coffee at a boutique in Albany, but you can just order it direct, and it comes in giant 2-pound, I think even 5-pound bags. And their prices are much better than some competitors, even better. So there you go. Ship it to your house.
Good stuff.
Never run out.
They shipped it all the way across the country. Great people. I was doing some stupid idiot thing online, and they loved it, and they were like, "We work hard. We're fireman and cowgirl, and
so
busting ass, and
yay." So I had to
God bless America.
to do that as well, because we love our fans, we love our support, and I would like to give them some recognition. All right. Last thing I was going to say before we wrap this up is we got some questions about how to sign up for Truth Serum, and people are having trouble finding it on our website.
We're fixing that.
So
but
my beautiful website design now has, if you scroll to the very bottom of the first page of our website, it's in small little letters that says Truth Serum. But the easier way, so if you are in Instagram or Facebook, we have a link on our page. It's a link tree with Koji. I think I said it right. It links you to everything. It links you to all of our social posts, Rumble, our website.
And that's through Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Koji.
And it is found in our bio. You can see that easily. The Facebook
link in bio.
There you go.
I didn't even know what that meant when I first saw that on Instagram.
You're not hip to all the cool things.
Yeah, I'm not.
No. So that's the ways you get to it right now. The easiest way is if you're on Instagram, just click the link in bio. Otherwise, you can scroll to the very bottom where it says Truth Serum in tiny letters to sign up. There you go.
I think what we're going to do is, as the website is redesigned, you won't be able to scroll anywhere without it popping up and irritating the hell out of you. To sign up. Sign up now.
No, we're not going to have all those pop-ups popping up like that.
Sign up now.
But
we use cookies. Sign up or puppies die.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Okay, that's about it for this week. And I'm going to sign out for Tim so he can relax. He's had a hard day at work, and we hope you listened. We hope you listen to tomorrow's podcast with Nick Chinsky. And as always,
completely surprise you. It's just like,
it's a great story. Just the whole inspiration behind it. And other than that, we love your comments, questions, and correspondence. Thanks to our fans. You are the reason we are here. Love you all. All right. Bye-bye. Now, a final word from our sponsor. At Pearson Ravitz, they understand that life can change in an instant. It's hard to imagine that a sudden illness, injury, or catastrophic event could put you and your family in a devastating financial situation. Physician-founded and physician-focused, Pearson Ravitz builds human connections before they create quotes. Visit www.pearsonravitz.com today and embark on a journey of safeguarding your future. It's no secret that medicine is a bit uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS3MD. See you next time.
While we try to keep BS3MD as raw and real as possible, we can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bs3md.com.